One, two. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Grateful Gratitude. I am Kris Gross, and alongside me in the Frito Nation Production Studios here in the Caddo Office Reimagined Studios is Mark Friedman, and we are joined by LoLo Roberts. How are you guys today?
Doing great, Kris. Doing fantastic.
Yeah, I'm amazing. It's Friday.
Yes, it is, and I'm really excited about doing this episode because those of you who have been watching the videos, listening to the podcast, know that I came into Grateful Gratitude about 6 months ago and began working with LoLo then. But this is a much longer process than that. LoLo, your ministry has been going much longer than that. So let's talk about what Grateful Gratitude has done in the last 3 years.
Well, thank you, Kris. Yes, we did just pass our 3-year anniversary in March. It was March 12th. And I sat down and I thought, I'm going to reflect on these 3 years because I know I've been doing stuff, but what have I been doing? And it's really been amazing. So in that time, of course, I've shared multiple times that Frito was one of my first believers and the person who really said, you need to do a podcast. So I'm excited to say we've done over 100 podcasts in that time. And the thing that I really loved is that Frito encouraged me to do short 10-minute ones and just be authentic. And so it's really been very enjoyable. But to think that we've got over 100 of those done is truly amazing. Same with blog posts. I've got probably an 85 or between 85 and 90 blog posts, with, I don't know, it's 129 followers. I'm sure that's a small amount, but it's a good core group that follow my blog. And the thing that really stood out most to me is when I started to tally up the hearts and how many hearts had I given out in 3 years' time. And more importantly, where did they go? Because I sometimes forget where they go. So I did have to make a list. And so just quickly, I'm going to tell you a few of these. So of those 4,000, 50 of them went to widows of veterans. 75 went to medical patients that had no health care. A lot of them, 94 of them went to victims of violent crime in Collin County. 1,231 were purchased for people to give in gratitude. So that was people who were sharing my ministry. 37 went to Allen firefighters. 134 went to Allen Fire Department. 2 of them, and I think these are the 2 that are really closest to my heart. I had the opportunity to sit with a woman whose family had been murdered. It was a murder-suicide type thing. So she and her sister received hearts, and I think that was one of the most impactful things through the ministry. 964 went to food insecure people at a Minnie's Food Pantry drive-thru. And 10 found new homes in Costa Rica, and 1 actually traveled to Bangkok, where someone I know had a ministry to help women get off the streets and out of a life of prostitution. So that's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, I can't believe it's been 3 years since you started this. And, I remember in the beginning thinking, just questioning, can you teach gratitude? Can you coach gratitude? And you and I had those conversations about it. And, I'm obviously a believer in it. So congratulations on the 3 years.
Yeah, and I think 4,000 hearts is, it's amazing when you think about that number. And I know we have at least 3 in the Gross household right now. And Frito's got one right here, although we've got a green heart in front of a green screen.
That's a good point. How's that look? Yeah.
But LoLo, my question for you is, 4,000 of anything is a lot. Even 100 of anything, like you said, 100 podcasts, that's a lot. What continues to give you that drive and that desire to continue to get more hearts and to continue to give them away?
That's a great question, and it's a simple answer for me, and it's truly God. Every time I share a heart, and and just to show people who maybe don't know about my ministry is I anchor people to God's love by holding a gratitude heart. And these hearts come from a village in Kenya. So I'm helping support artisans over there, which just really warms my heart. But when I hand them to somebody and I haven't even told them how to anchor it, and they just automatically hold this heart to their heart, it's just, when I see that, I just see God working. And, you know, there's just more and more opportunities that he is presenting me. So within the last week and a half, I've had a group come to me and ask me to speak at a women's homeless shelter and anchor those women with hearts. And then also to help women transitioning out of prison back into society. They wanted me to come and give hearts to those ladies and tell them, you know, this is a whole new opportunity. So, you know, every morning I get up, I spend my morning with God and saying, where are we going today? What are you going to show me? And it's miraculous what he gives me. And that's really what keeps me going.
And you know what, you mentioned these hearts, and I think one of my favorite things about them, LoLo, and it may not be anything that you even considered, but I think what I have found the biggest blessing in the hearts that I have is, you know, I think part of it is me being a guy, but it might just be me being Kris. Is there are times when I'm praying and I really have a struggle focusing. My mind wanders, and, you know, there's a guy that I go to church with, and he has told us about how in the old tradition, Jews would wear these coverings on their head, and they would have tassels that they would hold as they were praying. And they would, like, there were knots in the tassels. They would pray a prayer and then they'd move on to the next one. And I said, man, that's a really cool idea, because that's, you know, you're touching something and it's keeping you focused. And having a heart, you know, in my hand, or when I feel it in my pocket, you know, when I reach to get my chapstick, it's just a reminder to be praying. And when I hold it, it gives me something to focus on, and it gives me something to just keep my mind on God, instead of it can easily wander away. And my problem is, you know, I end up 2 minutes down the road having completely wandered off. And so that's one of the places where I found just a huge blessing from having one of these hearts.
Well, and I think you really hit the nail on the head, is, as you said, anchoring, you know, and I personally just feel like we have to anchor to something, because that's our stability. And, you know, an anchor is used on a boat to keep a boat from drifting and, you know, losing control. And so if you have a heart, or, you know, a 12-step program that anchors you to a coin or something, you know, it's just that God's kind of just reminding you he's there. It's okay. And he's going to be with you. And so thank you for mentioning that. And I know when Mark was in the hospital, I was trying to get hearts to him, but during a pandemic, they wouldn't let us in to do it.
Tricky pandemic rules. You got one to me, though, by the way. Do you realize that?
Well, in the hospital, or?
Yes, you did.
I did? No,
yeah,
I
you
didn't.
may.
I didn't know.
Maybe it wasn't authorized by you, but I got a heart.
Wow.
I got one delivered to me.
That's awesome. And if it didn't come from me, that means someone believes in it and shared it. So
Absolutely.
That's what really warms my heart. So,
LoLo, do you mind if I ask you just a question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
What's been the most surprising benefit that you've seen? And I'm trying to find the right way to word this. What is the benefit that somebody's seen that had from your ministry that you found the most surprising? And maybe it's someone, like you mentioned, in a different country had a heart, or someone mentioned, you know, that they watched your video from 2 years ago. What's that one moment where you realized, man, these hearts, grateful gratitude, my coaching had a much wider impact than I had originally thought?
Well, the first story that comes to my mind is I have a really good friend that I've known probably 4 years through networking. And she walked up to me one day and she said, I want to thank you for helping my daughter and my granddaughter. And I said, I don't think I know your daughter and your granddaughter. And she said, well, you wouldn't have known that they were my family. And she said, but you were at a evening of empowerment where you were helping victims of violent crime. And my daughter and my granddaughter were there. And you shared hearts and you prayed with them and you listened to their story. And she said, and you didn't know that they were related to me, but they hold their hearts and they continue to hold their hearts. And she said that her daughter just said she felt like someone cared about her. And so to me, I mean, of course, I started tearing up and just like, you know, it's just kindness and sharing that made a difference in that life. And I always tell Mark that the hearts leave me and I never know where they go, but I just continue to pray that they're doing good or people are still seeing God and God's love without me knowing. I guess that kind of keeps things humble, you know?
That's one of the things I really like about doing all of these podcasts. And there's some that I'm more passionate about than others, but you never know who's listening. And they could be complete strangers that you're impacting. But there's always going to be someone listening that you have no clue about, and you're going to be impacting them. So that's a great thing about the work that you're doing and the podcasts that we do, plus your blog posts. You know, you talked about 140 something followers. There's much more than that, many more that read your blog. Those are just the ones that follow it. And there's no telling how you're impacting those lives every single day.
And how impacting those people are impacting the people in their lives, you know, especially with something like gratitude. That's not something that is going to change somebody and change them alone. I think that's going to have a huge impact for everybody in their lives as well.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful and I hope I can do it for 30 years, but you know, I'll do it as long as God, you know, still provides the artisans that can provide the hearts and provides the opportunity for me to share hope in his word. And you guys are so great to partner with me on all these things that, you know, people a lot of times think they have gratitude and they understand God's love. But I know that when I sit here and do these videos with you guys, I'm truly preaching to the choir because you guys do know the Holy Spirit and you guys do know gratitude. So thank you so much for that.
And congratulations on 3 years, LoLo. I mean, that's a huge milestone, and 4,000 hearts, that's a big deal.
Thank you. And we'll come back with more videos. So if you've enjoyed this or you want to follow us, you know, on our YouTube channel or Facebook or wherever, you know, we have Frito Nation who is amazing at the podcast. So thank you guys again, and we'll do another one soon.